Hi everybody, welcome to a new video from Sound for More. Today we are going to go through an in-depth review of the FAC Drumkit from Fred. Before I start, I would like to ask to the viewers, if you're viewing this video, to consider subscribing because it will help the channel to bring additional videos like this one or videos on other educational subject, music, and also additional giveaways. So please do consider to subscribing to the channel to support it. Indeed, I have also a giveaway for this app. So please follow the instruction on the video description, which will tell you how to apply for the giveaway. It's very simple. You just need to subscribe because it's only for subscribers. You need to leave a comment, like it. Be good if you activate the bell so that it will notify you if other videos will come from Sound for More. And ultimately, if you are a winner, you will be notified by a comment, i.e., I will leave a comment to your comment. And if you receive that, which sometimes I must admit YouTube is not reliable on that, so you might have to come back and check frequently on the video to see if the giveaway is still running. And in order to do that, you actually check the video description where I will put winners announced. If they've been announced, then I will also remove from the video title the number of giveaways that were available, so you know that then when the title is changed, the giveaway or the winners for the giveaway have been announced. But please do check your comments. And if you won and you received that comment, following the instruction that you need to send an email to soundformore@gmail.com with a copy or proof that you are subscribed to the channel, and you will receive a promo code, which you can use to download the app free of charge. So let's commence the review. I strongly suggest that you run the app first in standalone version or in standalone mode, because when you do so, it will download the data factory, which will contain those classical drum samples which you need then to use as an AUV3 app. So please do run that first in standalone mode, even if you're planning to use it only as an AUV3. So as you run it for the first time, you're welcomed by this message, which tells you a bit about Fred, the developer of FAC. As you click on it, it goes on to talk about the AUV3 extension. And it tells you also that you can configure on the bottom left, clicking on the off button, your audio input, and clicking on the button on the bottom right here called Info, you can have access to the documentation. If we click on the screen again, it tells you a little bit about the presets, but we'll cover that in the video. And then finally, if you click at that again, it tells you a little bit about the business and being one-person business, and therefore, please rate and review the app because it's good for the developer. Indeed, if we click again on the info button here, you see access to the online documentation, access to review the app. Please do so and leave a review for the app, and the welcome screen, which I just showed you. So let's click on the online documentation. I'll take advantage of this documentation to go through the basics, really, a very high level. It is a 16-voice drum synthesizer, and it has also a stereo sample player. So one synth stroke sampler per voice. Remember that. You have 2 oscillators per voice with filters and phase modulation, and you can choose 16 waveforms for each of the oscillators. You can have 1 sample player per voice with sample position, filters, phase, and stereo control. You have access to advanced pitch and amp envelopes with different controls, which I'll show you in the video in a moment. You have access to templates as well. From an envelope perspective, you have a mixer page. Also in version 1.1, you have access to the drum pad page. Very nice feature. And this helps you also with multiple out or MIDI out configuration and velocity sensitiveness settings. The app comes with those classical drum machines built in presets, but make sure you run first the application in standalone mode, otherwise they will not be copied in. And ultimately, it is an AUV3 multi-output app. Of course, you need to have a host for that, AUM, Cubase's, etc. And it is universal, so it runs on iPad and iPhone. So let's scroll up, click on the Done button to exit the online documentation. I could go through the tutorial in standalone mode, but I prefer to move to AUM. So here we are in AUM. I have created an audio channel and I have loaded in that input node FAC Drumkit. So let's click here to test that it works, and we have the output set, because there are changes which you can make in the application which will prevent from it to produce sounds. Okay, we have sound, good, great, fantastic. So let's explore the application. So let's start from the top right. Here you have the selection of presets, and these will be available only if you loaded that data factory, which I mentioned running in standalone mode first, for the first time, when you're running the first time. So you can click on it to have a selection of additional presets. So just choose one, and you can see the effect applied on the on the sampler in this section, but also on the synth section as well. Can you hear starting to change? See, changing again. Okay, you will notice, like in this case, that it is picking here in AUM as a output. Just be careful of the envelope here, and also on the volume, both for the sampler, which is here, but also for both oscillator number 1 and oscillator number 2, which are located here. And ultimately, you can make also adjustments here on the mixer page. Okay, so let's continue. So you can choose a preset from here. You can go to the next preset, click on the arrow there. You can go to the previous preset, clicking on this arrow. So that's good. Next, we have a section which is related to the sampler. So let's explore that in more detail. So let me disable the synth section, clicking on this icon, so we'll hear only the sampler section. So let's try. Okay, we hear that sample, and we can choose a different one as well. Okay, white noise, this one, really nice. You can also disable the sampler clicking on here, but in this case you don't hear anything. Okay, no sound from the synth section, no sound from the sample player. So let's reactivate the sample player. And also you notice that it changes, it grays here the envelope when it's not active, because I have selected at the moment the amp envelope section. So let's reactivate now the sampler player. So we have access to high pass filter cutoff and also Q settings. Works straightforward. Can notice the difference. Also active the Q. One thing that makes it even more obvious is if you select this is the pitch envelope section of the sampler on this part of the screen. We can select the amp envelope section here, and if you click it, then again you have access to templates for the envelope. Let's choose full amp envelope, which will give you access to the full sound, in this case the full sample. So in this case you can start to hear, as we move up the pass filter, changes which will, right? And of course you can change the Q as well to have differences. Of course you will lower these to minimal to ensure that you have everything going through, right? You have also a low pass filter here, cutoff, and also Q settings. So if you lower the cutoff frequency, then there is less going through, of course. And you can adjust the Q setting as well. As you notice, as I'm making changes here, you see on the bottom left of the screen, yeah, it tells you what I'm changing, which is useful because it reminds you of what is it that you're changing. So it's a bit of a tips that it can be used as a manual. Indeed, for example, if you don't remember what this setting is, which is active on, you click on it and it says off now voice sampler invert phase, and this is used to invert the sampler phase, which can become really handy, particularly if you are experiencing things like phase cancellation. So bear that in mind. Okay, here you have also the volume, which you can change in decibel for the sample that is being played. Right, let's deactivate the sampler and let's reactivate the synth part of the application. Because remember, this application works on the principle of giving the character from the sample, but also to give the body from the synth section, which is important. So, so we have activated now the synth part, and this button here allows you to activate oscillator 1 phase modulation using the second oscillator. So when they are not aligned, these square boxes, it means that phase modulation on oscillator 1 is off. When they are aligned, it is on. So remember that. Here is where you can select the waveform for the first oscillator, 16 of them, and here's where you can choose the waveform for the second oscillator. And you have an additional selection here, which is called white noise for the second oscillator. Additionally, you can choose, you can set the high pass frequency cutoff for the synth. You also can set the ratio here for the oscillator pitch, oscillator 2, I would say, as it says here. Okay, you can change the setting for the low pass filter, ear cutoff, okay, and also the Q factor. And here you have volumes for oscillator 1 and oscillator 2. So let's decrease oscillator number 2. So we'll hear only oscillator number 1. And let's choose a different sine wave. You can hear the differences already. Okay, and of course, remember you can act on high pass filter, low pass filter, Q factor. Okay, you can also enable phase modulation, but you need to have the volume up on oscillator number 2. And here again, you can choose the ratio of the pitch for oscillator number 2. You hear it better if I decrease the oscillator number 1 and remove phase modulation. And if I decrease the ratio, you can hear that the ratio of the pitch is changing. Now, the sound is also impacted by the envelope that you are using. So looking in the envelope here, you have pitch envelope here for the synth section, you have amp envelope for the oscillator number 1, and you have amp envelope for oscillator number 2. So again, if you click on those, you can choose some templates, and the full amp envelope lets you digest the full body of the synth. Okay, increase the volume. Okay, the other thing, if you are struggling with what each waveform sounds like, I recommend that you load in the insert effect something like an oscilloscope. This one from ApeSoft is quite nice. So, and perhaps you put it down here, increase the scale a little bit, decrease the amplitude, and see what it does. You can see the waveform there, which is great, and you can also freeze clicking down here. So that's useful. So for example, you can say, well, all right, okay, let's try these triangle sinusoid. Okay, that is how it works. Let you have a little bit more amplitude, maybe too much. Let's try again. Yeah, okay, that looks good. And so on. You can go forward and try different one, and you can have an understanding of what they look like, which might be good in terms of your sound design. Of course, there are some which are straightforward, like white noise. Okay, so remember, this is how, and it also is affected by the pitch, by the way. So just remember that as well. And of course, you have your low pass frequency set, which impacts the way that, as you can see, the waveform is released. Looks like on the oscillator. So that's another way for you to actually play and see the waveform coming out from FAC Drumkit. We don't need that anymore, so let's remove that. So let's continue on the journey. So here we have the output, which you can select in decibel up here, so you can increase the volume up and down. Here is where you have a center position. So let's choose a different actually voice here, because you have 16 voices which you can select, which comes at the moment from this bank. You can have a palm position, so you can say move it to the right hand side. If you have headphones, you should hear that, or move it completely to the left side. Okay, that's very nice. Here you have the selection, as I mentioned, of 16 different voices, which you can test. You can also click on one, click again. You can copy that and then click on somewhere else and paste that. So you copy effectively all the settings, or which in this case will sound like what we have copied already. Or you can go into one and click in it and you initialize that voice. Okay. So this button serves to monitor the voice that you have selected. Finally, here for the right hand side, we have the access to the bank. So you click on it, you have a number of banks, which comes as default. You can see drums bank from 1 to 5, and you have also an init bank. If you click and hold, you can change the name of the bank. You can go to the next bank, clicking on this arrow. You can go also to the previous bank, clicking on the left arrow. Okay. The last thing to show you actually is additional option here on the preset. So let's click on this, and why not? Let's initialize it. Let's see what it sounds like. Let's deactivate the synth side. Let's go to the sampler player part. Why not? Let's choose a full amp. Now let's click and hold on the preset here. Here is where it gives you option to load the factory data, to load the files, and to load folders. So let's load the file at the moment. So let's search for Sound for More. Let's go inside this kit. Let's go to drums and then hits. Okay, that's good. Let's choose this kick, for example, and it will say you loaded the kick. Okay, you can click on it. You can see that he has also you have also others available as well from that directory as well, which I previously loaded, to be honest, because you can also click and hold and load things from a folder, and it will make all the files in that folder available in this list, which is very, very useful. Okay, let's move now to the left side of the screen. As you can see throughout the interface of the application, you have vertical like this one, or horizontal black bars, which divide the application in different sections. So here you have a vertical one, so it divides settings for the oscillator on this side and for the sampler on that side. When you are on the sampler side, you know that because you have some additional parameters like this one, the width, the stereo width, and also you have where the samples start in millisecond. So let's click something like number 9. And let's see the effect of changing the stereo width. Hopefully you can hear that. And you can also choose to change the start of the sample. And it really depends on the sample that you have selected. And again, it also depends on the curvature of the envelope. So full amp, okay, play again. Let's remove the synth body. And here, let's change the start. Okay, it gets shorter. Okay, now, if in this first part here, you can choose the pitch for the sample. So you can move the control points here. Really nice. And as I mentioned, if you click again on the menu, you have access to different settings. For example, in this one, you can initialize semitone pitch envelope, straightforward, right in the middle. Okay, but you can do your additional things. One thing is, which is quite interesting is, first of all, if you click on the environment here, it gives you the ability to copy the pitch envelope, and then you can paste it, which is useful if you want to keep track of what you had before. You can go back to what you had before with a paste, but you can also shift an octave up and etc. etc. You have different settings as you prefer. So you can say, go an octave up, done. That's really nice. Environment again, go an octave down. Okay, nice and handy. You have the ability to click on a point and move it, which shows you also here the details of that point. And when you have a point selected, you can also edit that, and you can have a precise editing of that point. Okay, you can clicking on a delay as well and set the delay as well, and you can lock that in position or not, which is really nice. And if you click outside, you can also click on the add button. You see the lines becoming all dotted, and this gives you the ability, if you click and hold, to actually add a point, which then you can move, and you can decide also to delete that point as well. And when you're finished, of course, click on done to exit that. So you have different options which are valid for wherever you are in creating that envelope, whether it's for pitch or amp. Pitch, amp. This is the oscillator section. This is the sampler section. Okay, you have also a button here that changes from wide view to lens view. So let's go to something like this. Let's build a profile like so. Let's click on the wide button. You see it changes the view, okay, on where you are. And depending if it's wide and lens, you can have a closer detail if it is lens, of course, but you can have a wide view as well. Okay, similarly, and if you disable the sampler and you have the synth part section on, let's use only one oscillator, you have access to the pitch. Okay, you see the selection for starting point of the sample have disappeared. Also the stereo width has disappeared as well, which you had here for the sampler. But the same things apply in terms of environment, although they change a little bit as a selection. Okay, because now you are on the oscillator pitch part. You can still add points, delete, etc., etc. So you still have all those control on the points. Okay, you can delete, you can edit it, and so on and so forth, which is really nice. Of course, you cannot do the delay from here. Next, we have the ability to create the amp envelope for oscillator number 1 and also the amp envelope for oscillator number 2. Now, remember that as you click again on that, you can choose some templates, and some are specific to initialize template, some are mute, so nothing goes through, some are full amp envelope, but others are specific to, for example, bass drum envelope, amp envelope profiles. And that helps you when you create your sound design. So you have your level here, and you have your timing here on the right, on the horizontal axis. As I mentioned, here you have a tips in terms of what your changes, like a status bar. You have here the name of the app and also the version. Remember, the version is really important. And here you have access, when you click on these, to the screen you see at the moment, or you can have access to mixer, or you can have access to the drum pad. So let me show you now access to the mixer, which is quite interesting. Here you can disable for each of the 16 voices the main voice. Okay, I'll show you what it means by that in a moment. You can adjust volume, pan here, you can mute and solo each one of them. Okay, in order to show you how the selection here works, let's go in multi-output, because that is also supported. So let's create another audio channel. Let's click on the input node, and this time, instead of loading the normal audio unit extension, we go to Multibus audio unit instance and we select FAC. You can see here it says number 2 for Multibus output number 2. So we go back to the FAC Drumkit. Now, let's click on the main screen. Let's activate the first voice. You can see the output is coming out from both channels. Let's go to the mixer, deactivate here where it says voice main activated off. Now let's play again that voice. It comes out only from the second audio channel. And that helps you, of course, because you can say, well, all right, on this one, let me apply a, for example, delay effect. And you can choose only for that particular voice to have a delayed effect. So that's the beauty of working inside a host like AUM. So you have multi-bus output, and that allows you to then apply different effects for different audio channel. So really, really nice. So now let's click here, remove the channel. Let's go back to our application. Let's go to the mixer page and reactivate that. Okay, next we have a drums pad page. This is where you play your drums. Really nice, really straightforward. There is another way also to play sounds in FAC Drumkit. So activate the AUM keyboard. Then you need to scroll down. And it will start from C2. And it will go up to D sharp 3, which is voice 16, because the next one is not there. So C2 is the first voice. So you can, it is mapped chromatically on the keyboard. So this can be used in different ways, for example, to record. So let's go to a Midi channel. Let's load something like Atom, like so. Let's connect here. We can either connect the keyboard or we can connect the FAC Drumkit. Let's connect the FAC Drumkit and let's remove the AUM keyboard. Right. So let's open Atom piano roll. Let's put it as, let's scroll down so we see C2, down something like that. And let's put it in record step mode. Okay, right at the beginning. Let's open FAC. Now let's go to the drum pad and let's click first one. Of course, I'm in step in. I selected 1/16 of a grid. That is why it shows like that. Of course, if I play at the moment, it will not play anything because I have not connected. Let me remove this. So it's not in recording mode. It's not in step in. I have not connected Atom piano roll to drive FAC Drumkit. So very straightforward to record like that. So I now connected it. Now, the interesting point, as I have done that now, if I play on the drums, it plays twice. And that's because it plays the internal engine of Drumkit, then it sends the signal to Atom, which then sends that signal back to FAC. In order to avoid that, you can click on the pads again here, and you click internal MIDI bypass. And it will not play any more the internal engine. Remember that, however, that if you ever activated that and you are not driving that anymore with Atom, you need to reverse that. So let me give you an example. Let's remove that channel. Let's open these up as well. Click on one, nothing happens because it's only sending MIDI signals out. So remember that. So in this case, click on these, remove that bypass, and it will play the internal sound. Okay, that is something to remember, of course. Click on these as well, and you can have a velocity activated. So lower you are on the pad, lower the velocity, the higher you are on the pad, the higher the velocity. So you can use the pads, therefore, to play pads as in a drum kit. You can use them to record something, like in this case, into Atom, or you can also use an external keyboard chromatically starting from C2 to play the drums, voices individually or together, or you can use also the external keyboard like the keyboard if it is connected to FAC Drumkit to also record inside something like Atom Piano Raw 2 or even the first version, whatever you like, or other application as your setup dictates. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It's quite an in-depth tutorial. We have covered a lot. I hope you find this useful. If you still have questions, please by all means leave a comment, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.